There was a fringe of trees along an open field. They were not very tall trees, neither were they trees that flowered or fruited, but to the eyes of Aline they were very beautiful. Their slender branches were covered with leaves of a light green showing a silvery undersurface, and when the wind moved or tossed them, silver gleams flashed through the green in a most enchanting way. Aline stood on the other side of the road admiring the trees with the silver leaves. A little old woman carrying a basket full of duck's eggs came happily hobbling along. She paused by the side of Aline. "Happy love," said she. "Your eyes are as bright as jade jewels." Aline drew a long breath. "See," said she, "the dancing leaves." The little old woman adjusted her blue goggles and looked up at the trees. "If only," said she, "some of that silver was up my sleeve, I would buy you a pink parasol and a folding fan." "And if some of it were mine," answered Aline, "I would give it to my baby brother." And she went on to tell the little old woman that eve there was to be a joyful time at her father's house, for her baby brother was to have his head shaved for the first time, and everybody was coming to see it done and would give her baby brother gifts of gold and silver. Her father and her mother, also, and her big brother and her big sister, all had gifts to give. She loved well her baby brother. He was so very small and so very lively, and his fingers and toes were so pink. And to think that he had lived a whole moon, and she had no offering to prove the big feeling that swelled and throbbed in her little heart for him. Aline sighed very wistfully. Just then a brisk breeze blew over the trees, and as it passed by, 6 of the silver leaves floated to the ground. "Oh! Oh!" cried little Aline. She pattered over to where they had fallen and picked them up. Returning to the old woman, she displayed her treasures. "3 for you and 3 for me," she cried. The old woman accepted the offering smilingly, and happily hobbled away. In every house she entered, she showed her silver leaves, and told how she had obtained them, and every housewife that saw and heard her, bought her eggs at a double price. At sundown, the guests with their presents began streaming into the house of Manu. Amongst them was a little old woman. She was not as well off as the other guests, but because she was the oldest of all the company, she was given the seat of honor. Aline, the youngest daughter of the house, sat on a footstool at her feet. Aline's eyes were very bright and her cheeks glowed. She was wearing a pair of slippers with butterfly toes, and up her little red sleeve, carefully folded in a large leaf, were 3 small silver leaves. Once when the mother of Aline brought a cup of tea to the little old woman whispered in her ear, and the mother of Aline patted the head of her little daughter and smiled kindly down upon her. Then the baby's father shaved the head of the baby, the little bright one. He did this very carefully, leaving a small patch of hair, the shape of a peach, in the center of the small head. That peach-shaped patch would some day grow into a queue. Aline touched it lovingly with her little finger after the ceremony was over. Never had the little bright one seemed so dear. The gifts were distributed after all the lanterns were lit. It was a pretty sight. The mother of the little bright one held him on her lap, whilst each guest, relative, or friend, in turn, laid on a table by her side his gift of silver and gold, enclosed in a bright red envelope. The elder sister had just passed Aline with her gift, when Aline arose, and following after her sister to the gift-laden table, proudly deposited thereon 3 leaves. "They are silver, silver," cried Aline. Nearly everybody smiled aloud, but Aline's mother gently lifted the leaves and murmured in Aline's ear, "They are the sweetest gift of all." How happy felt Aline! As to the old woman who sold duck's eggs, she beamed all over her little round face, and when she went away, she left behind her a pink parasol and a folding fan. The Peacock Lantern. It was such a pretty lantern, the prettiest of all the pretty lanterns that the lantern men carried. Ah Wing longed to possess it. Upon the transparent paper which covered the fine network of bamboo which enclosed the candle, was painted a picture of a benevolent prince, riding on a peacock with spreading tail. Never had Ah Wing seen such a gorgeous lantern, or one so altogether admirable. "Honorable father," said he, "is not that a lantern of illuminating beauty, and is not thy string of cash too heavy for thine honorable shoulders?" His father laughed. "Come hither," he bade the lantern man. "Now," said he to Ah Wing, "choose which lantern pleaseth thee best. To me all are the same." Ah Wing pointed to the peacock lantern, and hopped about impatiently, whilst the lantern man fumbled with the wires which kept his lanterns together. "Oh, hasten! Hasten!" cried Ah Wing. The lantern man looked into his bright little face. "Honorable little one," said he, "would not one of the other lanterns please thee as well as this one? For indeed, I would, if I could, retain the peacock lantern. It is the one lantern of all which delights my own little lad, and he is sick and cannot move from his bed." Ah Wing's face became red. "Why then dost thou display the lantern?" asked the father of Ah Wing. "To draw attention to the others," answered the man. "I am very poor, and it is hard for me to provide my child with rice." The father of Ah Wing looked at his little son. "Well," said he. Ah Wing's face was still red. "I want the peacock lantern," he declared. The father of Ah Wing brought forth his string of cash and drew therefrom more than double the price of the lantern. "Take this," said he to the lantern man. "'Twill fill thy little sick boy's bowl with rice for many a day to come." The lantern man returned humble thanks, but while unfastening the peacock lantern from the others, his face looked very sad. Ah Wing shifted from one foot to another. The lantern man placed the lantern in his hand. Ah Wing stood still holding it. "Thou hast thy heart's desire now," said his father. "Laugh and be merry." But with the lantern man's sad face before him, Ah Wing could not laugh and be merry. "If you please, honorable father," said he, "may I go with the honorable lantern man to see his little sick boy?" "Yes," replied his father. "And I will go too." When Ah Wing stood beside the bed of the little sick son of the lantern man, he said, "I have come to see thee, because my father has bought for my pleasure the lantern which gives thee pleasure, but he has paid therefore to thy father what will buy thee food to make thee strong and well." The little sick boy turned a very pale and very small face to Ah Wing. "I care not," said he, "for food to make me strong and well, for strong and well I shall never be, but I would that I had the lantern for the sake of San Ki." "And who may San Ki be?" inquired Ah Wing. "San Ki," said the little sick boy, "is an honorable hunchback. Every evening he comes to see me and to take pleasure in my peacock lantern. It is the only thing in the world that gives poor San Ki pleasure. I would for his sake that I might have kept the peacock lantern." "For his sake," echoed Ah Wing. "Yes, for his sake," answered the little sick boy. "It is so good to see him happy. It is that which makes me happy." The tears came into Ah Wing's eyes. "Honorable lantern man," said he, turning to the father of the little sick boy, "I wish no more for the peacock lantern. Keep it, I pray thee, for thy little sick boy. And honorable father," he took his father's hand, "kindly buy for me at the same price as the peacock lantern one of the other beautiful lanterns belonging to the honorable lantern man."